Imagine one company controlling an empire. A company that could wage wars, mint its own money, command an army larger than many nations, and at its peak was worth more than $7 trillion in today's money. This wasn't Google, it wasn't Amazon, it wasn't Apple, it was the East India Company. 400 years ago, this company rewrote the rules of business. It pioneered strategies we associate with startups today, building moats through regulation using network effects, vertically integrating supply chains, and exploiting data as a competitive edge. But in chasing profit without limits, it fell into 3 deadly traps: concentrated power, moral hazard, and governance failure. Those traps brought it to collapse. Birth of the company. The year was 1600. England was still a small player in world trade. The Portuguese dominated the seas. The Dutch were rising fast in the Spice Islands. And in London, a group of merchants saw opportunity. Spices, on pepper, nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, were not luxuries. They preserved food, cured illness, and displayed wealth. Europeans would pay almost anything for them. So these merchants petitioned Queen Elizabeth I. She granted them a royal charter, a monopoly on all English trade east of the Cape of Good Hope. But this was no ordinary license. The company was empowered to build forts, command troops, form alliances, and wage war. From its first day, the East India Company was more than a business. It was a corporation with sovereign powers. Startup moves ahead of their time. How did this group of merchants grow into the most powerful corporation in history? By inventing moves centuries ahead of their time. Regulatory arbitrage. The Royal Charter gave them a legal monopoly. No rival could trade in the East. Network effects. Every new port and factory made the company's network harder to compete with. Vertical integration. It built its own ships, minted its own coins, trained its own soldiers, and insured its own cargo. Data advantage. It hoarded priceless weather charts and trade secrets. Financial engineering. It issued shares, paid dividends, and pioneered the joint stock model, the roots of today's stock market. By combining these moves, the company created a corporate flywheel that spun faster with every voyage. Rise to power. At first, it traded silver for Indian textiles, then textiles for Indonesian spices. But soon it clashed with the Dutch East India Company. Losing in Indonesia, the English turned toward India. India was different. It wasn't just spices. It had cotton, silk, saltpeter, tea, and later opium. The company built trading posts in Surat, Madras, Bombay, and Calcutta. As Mughal power declined, the company's strength rose. In 1757, at the Battle of Plassey, 3,000 company troops defeated the Nawab of Bengal's 50,000. Bribery and superior artillery decided the day. That victory gave the company control of Bengal as one of the richest provinces in the world. With Bengal's taxes, the company grew into a state within a state. It minted money, commanded an army of 200,000, and governed millions. At its peak, the company controlled half the world's trade. Tea from China, cotton from Bengal, opium smuggled into China, silver flowing to London. By modern estimates, its revenues equaled more than $7 trillion. The ethical traps. But immense wealth carried immense costs. Trap 1, concentrated power. When a single company controls markets and armies, checks disappear. Trap 2, moral hazard. Investors in London grew rich, while famine in Bengal killed millions. The company demanded taxes even as people starved. Trap 3, governance failure. Corruption ran rampant. Officials extorted wealth and returned to Britain as nabobs, flaunting fortunes built on exploitation. These traps eroded legitimacy and fueled resentment. Collapse. By the late 1700s, Parliament investigated corruption. Oversight laws in 1773 and 1784 reduced company independence. The Opium Wars in China further stained its reputation. And in 1857, the Indian Rebellion erupted against company rule. Though crushed, it sealed the company's fate. In 1858, the British Crown dissolved it. India became a colony under direct government rule. Legacy: the East India Company gave the world global trade, joint stock corporations, and modern capitalism. But it also left a darker legacy of monopoly, exploitation, and empire. History's greatest startup didn't fall because it wasn't profitable. It fell because it built power without accountability. The lesson remains clear: build value, not empires.